Hey everyone, it's LaShonda from Labors of Love here with another Therapy Thursday. Today I want to talk about putting down the binoculars. Okay, so go with me. I talk about gratitude often, and I was working with a client recently and I began to express how I thought about gratitude in a way that I thought was really helpful. So I want to share it with you all. So, first, I want to start with what I'm not saying when I talk about gratitude. When I talk about gratitude, what I am not saying is that I am suggesting we put on a positive thinking hat and we tint our glasses rose colored and we look at our lives and we go, I am only going to notice the things that are good or things that I appreciate, or I'm only going to take a positive spin on what's happening. That's actually not what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about gratitude, I am talking about actually just looking at the totality of our lives as they are. When we are facing challenges, hard times, conflict, these things that are hard in life, it is not uncommon for us to look at those things through proverbial binoculars. And as we're looking at those things through binoculars, they're magnified by 200. So they seem huge and big and overwhelming. It seems like no matter what angle we take, it's all we can see. Well, sometimes it's not because that thing is so big. It's because we're looking at it through a lens that magnifies it. But when we put the binoculars down, we take a step back, we begin to notice that, yes, that thing is there. It's still there. And it still sucks, by the way. But it is not the biggest thing in the room. Even if it happens to be the biggest thing in the room, it's not as big as we were looking at it. So I'm able to go, yes, that thing is still there. And so is that thing that's kind of challenging. And so is this thing. And so is this thing. Oh, and this thing is here too. And what we might find is, while I am not minimizing the real challenges that we go through in life, I mean, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. I know that here where I live, there are schools that are going back remote. Numbers are rising. There's financials. There's so much. This is not my attempt to minimize. This is me encouraging us to realize that even with all of that going on, there are things in our lives that we can look at objectively and simply acknowledge that they're there. It doesn't even mean that we necessarily have to then take the binoculars and look at those things and make those bigger, because we think that makes us feel better, right? I'm going to take this one thing that's going well and I'm going to blow that up by 200 times. Well, what that does is that is just oftentimes an avoidance tactic to ignore the other things that are challenging. But what if we just saw things as they were? That we took off the rose-colored glasses, but we also put down the binoculars. And we just look and realize that our lives are complex, multidimensional, full of challenging things, but full of amazing things as well. And so if you're having a hard time identifying anything to be grateful for, and all you can think of is all the things that suck, I am not trying to tell you that there are not things that suck. There truly are. But I am saying maybe you've magnified them a little bit. Can we take a step back, look around our life just as it is? Then I believe that oftentimes we'll find that that challenging thing that seems ginormous, enormous, and unovercomable, I made up that word, is actually, yes, it's there and it's significant. But there are other things that if we begin to distribute our awareness and our acknowledgement of those things in a more equitable and realistic space, then sometimes the overwhelm that we experience, how our bodies send us sometimes into these states of anxiety and panic, or it shuts down into depression and stuckness, might begin to level out a little bit because we're seeing things as they actually are. So that's my invitation for us, at least this week. Just give it a try. Notice, am I magnifying? Do I have binoculars up? And what happens when I put those down? If you would like to reach out to me, please do so by contacting the website www.thelaborsoflove.com. We're on all the major social media outlets, even at TikTok, y'all. And we have our YouTube channel where all of our Therapy Thursday videos are housed. And if you haven't already, please rate, review, and share the podcast, the Labors of Love podcast. Until we connect again, you all be well.